Da, 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 da. We're live! Hello,
We're
everybody. Hi. Hi, everyone.
We're super live even.
We're so live. We're super live. Check it.
Totally.
Ali and I are matching today. We just and we're not late because we were spending time dressing up. We had technical difficulties, but so apologies for that.
There
But
were
look,
technical difficulties, and
there were.
then we had to match.
And then we realized we own the same choker. So, sorry, we're girls. Now we're going to get into talking about writing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
now we're gonna be like professionals.
Yeah, now it's professional mode. Okay, professional mode on. Let's go. Alex V or B or Alex Verb. I'm gonna start calling you Alice Verb, just like Ali. Verb. Ali is cold. You look cold.
That's why I'm wearing a onesie, because I'm fucking freezing.
You look very comfy though, even though you're probably not.
No, I'm so comfortable actually. Like, it's very soft. The only thing that made it uncomfortable was, since it's a Jack Skellington one, it had like this hard tie that was cute because it was like his tie, but it was like so I took it off.
Okay, that makes sense. I finally got my heat fixed, so I'm not freezing today, but I'm gonna pay out my ass for this fucking heat bill because it's freezing down south. David McFarland, hello, what's up? Down Go Solo, hello, old friends, good people. What's up, Citizen Ronan? How's your father, Raul Nyanzi? Hey, welcome. Glad you're hanging around for a bit. Hi, Real Guy. Hi. Hi, Jolly Green. Hey, Leighton Gay. Yes, I know, terrible. Wolfler, what's up? And World Building Community, what's up, everybody? Grifter, glad you're joining us, Grifter. Scott Gordon, so all these people, oh my god, the Voyager, Comics Mate, Dean, hey, what's up? Greetings, my very professional friends. Yes, we're very professional. Ryan Blue Thunder, Grimstorm Neil, Argent Warlock, freezing ass to save on heating costs. I did that for like 2 months because my heating was broken, so I just didn't turn it on. I just didn't have heat through the polar vortex that we had here. It was horrible. So I just don't feel like
never have heat.
Yeah, I might. I don't know. When it's not like literally freezing, if it's not like 36 degrees like it is tonight, I don't mind so much inside. If it's like I can deal with it, it's like 50. I don't know. I'm a tropical animal. Reese M, hello, hail. Gikazu, welcome. Glad you're joining us. Bancroft, it's the Bancroft, listening and working.
What's up, Bancroft?
Yeah, we're. This is a very good show to listen to while you're working or doing whatever. We talk about world building and just world building and writing in general. Every other week we pick a subject, so it's just Ellie and I. So check it out. And if you're new here, there's a link in the description that links to the playlist. So there's a tons of old shows of the Ali and Renie world building show for you to catch up on. So
yep. Space Monkey said matching chokers. Yeah, we're twinsies.
A twinsies, yeah. I'm so girly. Yeah. Eric Winberg for 2, thank you. Hey y'all, with thumbs up, fire. Thank you, Eric Winberg.
Thank you, Marumi. That's very kind of you. By the way, the reason we're on Renie's channel again is because I have a strike again on my channel. Hello, Snorum,
hello. Yeah, YouTube's fucking stupid. I mean, there's been like more drama about people getting struck, like malicious striking on both Twitter, but I know it happens on YouTube, and YouTube's been like really sensitive. So I like privated a couple streams to like just in case there's some shit in there to cut it out, because people never remember that you can't show boob or like genitals, and some artists they're just like we just show our work on like draw streams and forget about it, or like I don't know, it's not even copyright striking. I've noticed like that's what they got you for. It's like a tiny little bit of nudity, so I'm worried if my streams are private.
It's breast. Like, there's breast in this video. Yeah. But it's a video that's elsewhere on YouTube and has no strikes.
Okay, that's clearly stupid. They're targeting you, right?
And it was only 4 days until my last strike was gonna expire, and I would have no strikes finally.
Dude,
And it's the same thing that happened in November. I was 3 days from my strikes going, and then I got another one.
Dude, someone's out to get you. That's fucked up.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I guess. But we're here now. That's just the explanation. Marumi's sharing the fiendish links, which is good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all the linky links. Our links are in the description as well. The quack!
So many links. Too many links on the dance floor.
What? Oh, Neil says he'll be listening to playlists. Self-improvement is the name of the game for me. Awesome. I'm glad to hear. Well, that's same for all of us here. We're all trying to improve as writers. Me as well. Ellie's the real writer here. I just pretend to be a writer and draw comics.
I was gonna say, if there is room for improvement in my writing, which I doubt, I will take that. But
very humble.
Oh, you got yourself a super chat.
Oh, I do. Okay, let me take a look. See, Reese for 5. Thank you very much, Reese. Irene got my name. I'm so used to people just spelling it. Impressed. Have money. Thank you.
She earned it.
I've gotten pretty good at guessing. People have so many weird names, so I've learned to like kind of think a bit about people's names in case they're like trying to make me say something nasty, because that happens as well.
Solo says, does Ali rap now? Little known fact, I do rap, and I always have, just not well.
Makes sense. Me too. You'll never hear me do it because I suck. But technically, I do rap.
I have reps on my SoundCloud right now.
Oh.
I did an ICP cover on my old YouTube channel.
Oh dear. Don't let people find that.
I don't care.
Okay. All right.
It's of that Miracle song where they're like, fucking magnets, how do they work? Because that song is a gift to humanity.
It is a gift to humanity. You're right. Right. I bet it's a glorious cover. Shade. Hello, Alex. I don't know what that means, but glad you're here with us. And Nico. All right.
Okay.
Let's just jump into it, shall we? Jump into it. So characters. We have talked about characters before,
good male and good female characters is what I wrote down.
Right. So we didn't say this in the title, but we said it last show. We're specifically going to try targeting how to write good female and good male characters specifically, not just good character writing. So I don't know. I was like, I don't know if we were going to. We're not very organized here, guys. I thought we might do like 1 week for male characters, 1 week for female characters, but I was
worried that we would run out of stuff to talk about. But you know, we can talk about it however much we want to. You know.
No, I think it's probably better if we mix it, and if we want to continue next time, then that's fine, because I just think we'll probably be naturally jumping back and forth anyways.
Yes,
probably. So this is a subject that I've been very interested in, because I have long been very annoyed at how absolutely horrific so many writers are at writing women, and specifically women. But now we're encountering the problem of, especially Hollywood writers or Hollywood types, Netflix, Amazon, don't seem to know how to write men either. They just don't know how to write anybody. They don't know how to write women. They don't know how to write men. And I think generally everyone here instinctively knows what we mean. If you've seen the trends in modern entertainment, the heroic male characters cannot exist anymore. And previously heroic characters that are male have to be torn down, and they want to lift up female characters in their stead. It's fine to uplift female characters. I love a well-written female lead. In fact, that's what I want, but they're not giving us that. What they're giving us are bitchy, entitled, not just Mary Sues, because we have that, But with characters like Galadriel, there and even worse, like fucking everybody hates Velma, but Velma is just like it's so laid bare, it's so obviously hateable that everyone hates it. But Galadriel has a lot of like the same traits. They're just unlikable. They're stuck up. They're mean to everybody. They're hypocritical. And what's important is the show portrays it as this is the hero. Wow, they're so awesome. They're so assertive. They're an asshole to everybody, and everybody likes them, even though they're an asshole to them.
Yeah,
and that's portrayed. The show thinks it's good.
Yeah, it's like they took Buffy and then they're just like, ooh, Buffy's good. Let's make everything Buffy, but bad though. Like everything has to be sarcastic, and it's like it's to the point where the humor is so meta that it's just constant references.
Yes.
Just incessant. And it's like, okay, reference humor can be funny. But in my opinion, my rule is reference humor is funny 3 times. After time number 3, the reference isn't funny anymore and you have to get new material.
Right. Well, shows like, and this is weird because I noticed this kind of shit humor when I was working in animation, but it was like in the background. It was like the background radiation and a lot of like, I actually worked on some.
Didn't you work on I just forgot the name of the show.
Which one? I worked on Archer.
Archer.
I worked on a bunch of other shows. I worked on a bunch of other shows that failed. That's what it is.
But Archer was really funny though.
Archer was good, but the inception of Archer was way before this woke crap. That's true. I worked on other shows that weren't written by those writers, were written by other people, just like kind of, rich Hollywood types who just kind of wanted vanity projects, to be completely honest. And there were 2 specifically. I'm not going to name them. Maybe I will if I get drunk one stream night. But it was...
Super chats to buy her alcohol, everyone.
No. Trying to drink less. But it's like this weird, it's like someone who thinks they're funny by just being really crass and but edgy without being self-aware about like the how to be edgy, right? Without understanding parameters of it. And instead they just come across as like, well, you're just really crass for no reason. Like you're on a complete different wavelength than the audience, and your characters are just unlikable assholes, and they're kind of gross, to be honest. They have no redeeming qualities, and you think that's cool. And I worked on 2 shows like this. This was years ago, and they failed because they weren't subverting an existing IP. So I think all these idiots in Hollywood, what they realized is, well, our entitled sense of humor isn't working with anybody. Our like gross, like, I don't know, always talk about vaginas and poop and penis kind of humor. That's like as if they never graduated from middle school. That's literally the level of humor. And referencing everything, but making bad references. Like it's like over referencing things, and this weird tendency on top of this weird tendency to like point out things that suck about the show and pretend like that makes it okay. Like,
like, oh, it's self-aware humor.
We're so self-aware, right? So because we're self-aware about how stupid this plot was, that means it's fine. Horrible humor. But
yeah, so they'll be like, isn't this show derivative? And you can be like,
yeah,
yes.
This shit in Velma is not new. It's just that they're taking this shit humor that has existed in animation for years, and they've applied it to a beloved former franchise, and now everybody's flipping out because you can see it, because they created something that has nothing like Scooby-Doo, that is subversive, because that's what they're trying to do. They want to replace and remake our entertainment, our cultural mythology, and skin it and strip us of that root. They want to erase the past and not even build something new, but they want to build a future where they're in control and nobody else is. And the future that they want to control is pure cynicism. That's what they're doing.
And they did the same thing with Wednesday.
I didn't watch Wednesday.
I didn't pay for it. I want everyone to know. If I watch any of this stuff, I don't pay for it ever. But they did the same thing with Wednesday. They took characters that people already liked and they said, these are those characters, we promise. But instead they just made all of them insufferable. And honestly, it was basically like Wednesday was just Monster High, except like not even as good as Monster High, which is
Oh boy.
crazy. But like it was shocking because none of those characters behaved like the Adamses. Like Wednesday Addams is horrified that her father is a murderer. Like it made no sense. That would be something
Mm-hmm.
she'd be proud of. You know, her dad would tell her that as a bedtime story her whole life. But
Mm-hmm.
instead she's like, "How dare you kill someone 15 years ago?" And it's like that's just
I
not
don't know.
Wednesday.
I don't know much about the Addams family, disclaimer, but that already sounds like it makes no sense. They're
It didn't
like,
make sense.
why would she care about that? Yeah. I haven't watched Wednesday just because I hate this whole like it feels like they took they're like I don't know. I'm not like claiming goth culture or anything. I'm not really into that. I just like things that are black and dark and, you know, horror stuff. But like
Well, it
it
makes it
does seem
really
like
easy to get dressed.
it is. And like literally 95% of everything I own is black. And if it's not black, it's either brown or gray. Or red. I have some red stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, it's great. But like it just seems like, well, they're dressing this. First of all, it does seem like they're subverting something that was you know, a previous franchise, the Addams family. And it also seems like they're just like playing off of, ooh, we're so edgy, we're goth. Look, if we just dressed up like this and like act a certain way, and then this, it's like they're wearing the culture as a skin suit as well. And
Yeah.
it's
Well,
so I just had
and
no interest because it looks like a shit show.
Tim Burton thinks that like he shits gold because he's been told by Hollywood, you know, for 35 years that he does.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just like, I can make whatever I want. And if you go and you look on IMDb, that show has like 15 producers. Like
Oh,
he just went through and was like, I want to make my Addams Family show and just like hit everybody up for cash. and
jeez.
just, and just made this like complete trash that had
God.
no character development. It was super obvious from the start. Like the second she meets the guy that's like that turns out to be the bad guy, I was like, oh, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were trying so hard to make him like boring and like he was disenchanted with everything. I was like, oh, he's the killer. And then it was just sitting there waiting and waiting for everyone else to notice what was so obvious.
It's that's like what they did in Rings of Power too. They
Oh
were
yeah.
like, all these people are fucking idiots. So I was on a, and they expect the audience to be just as dumb as them, except no, the average person is way smarter than the current Hollywood writer. Is like not the problem, but one of many major problems with the current trends in Hollywood writing. I was on a writing show in Narwhal a while ago, and and we one of the issues that we're trying to break down, well, these are cardinal sins of bad Netflix writing, and one of them was don't treat your audience like they're stupid, and that's what they constantly do. They don't, and they I think they took note, they're trying to take note of, well, not Galadriel, but with a lot of characters, like either they're Mary Susan, they have no flaws, but even if they have flaws, it's what we sort of concluded was that, well, having flaws isn't enough. Like you need to have a blind spot, because characters like just I'm if a character is just like, oh, I'm so clumsy, but they're aware of it, that's not really a flaw. You need to have a blind spot that they don't see themselves, and that is specifically stopping them from reaching their goal. And the theme of that blind spot also ties into the overall theme of your story. That is the best kind of character writing, right?
That's a
And
good way to put it too, because it's the whole
yes,
like the villain doesn't think that they're the villain.
yes. So people have blind spots, and just think of it like it's like, and these Hollywood writers are like a great example of this. Their blind spot is they don't understand how untalented and stupid they are, and they and what's holding them back from creating anything that will be remembered in 50 years, and anything, well, that will be remembered next year, creating anything of merit, is their own stupidity and lack of talent. They can work on this, but they don't have the humility to do that. So that is their blind spot. Look, see, a real life example, and all of us have that. And you know, people who do try to improve. And like heroic characters are those who can go through, who have good intentions, and they go through journey and they realize their blind spots, but it's compelling when they encounter challenges, and they struggle with their blind spots, because everybody does, but they rise to the challenge and grow from it. And because they grow from that flaw that they had, and they're willing to be humble and introspect and change to be better, that's why they achieve their goals and they defeat the villain. That's what heroic storytelling actually is. It teaches people to self-reflect and be better and grow as a person. Heroic storytelling isn't just a character who's really cool and good with the sword and oh my god, they're so awesome. That wasn't original Star Wars. And I don't, or any heroic storytelling. And I don't understand what Hollywood thinks that what it actually was. You have like some action movies that are just like, tough guy being tough guy, and it's just simple entertainment like that. It's fine. But the best like actual like heroic classical heroic storytelling, like the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, all that kind of stuff, it's about growing as a person. And they don't understand it. They think it's just about, wow, you're so awesome and everybody bows at your feet because you're the hero. And shows like Velma make that really clear, because you have this main character going around, like the literal opening line was, well, most stories about a hot guy being awesome or something like that. And they seriously are so mired in their ideology. They think that's what classic storytelling is, but it's not. They have no in-depth understanding of classical storytelling and writing, because they are incapable of reflecting on themselves and improving.
Well, and they look on all the classical storytelling as, oh, like an old white man wrote that, so automatically it's bad. Like they don't even think of reading it. Like my bet is that the colleges where these people go don't even have them read the classics at the colleges. Like,
really? You think so?
I do think so. Like, because when I went to college, we had a creative writing, or not creative writing. We had a world literature course, and our teacher was really passionate about it to the point where so every day he wore khaki shorts, and he would get so excited about everything that we were talking about. Like we'd go through ancient Greece, we'd go through, modern Europe, like everything. And everything he got so excited about, he would jump up and down. But it was a bad idea to jump up and down wearing the shorts, because you could see like how well endowed that he was. So I had to sit in the back of the class. But like that was how excited he was. And he would say like, this isn't part of the curriculum I'm supposed to teach, but if you want, go read this, like go back and read this. Like he was so excited about it. But even then, 17 years ago now, they were still saying like, you don't have to do, Sophocles, like, you don't have to do those plays. Like I think they made him skip over most of like Arthur, like all of the Knight's Tales, of which there are like a ton. He said he went to them and was like, can we do Chaucer, because like the kids will love that stuff, like it's satire. And they told him, nah, don't even bother. Like, so even then they were saying like, don't even bother learning about it. So my guess is that most of the colleges now don't have them learn that stuff. They're probably, if they're taking a lit class, they're reading like weird subversive stuff, or like communism. They're reading like Marx or something. Like even if it's supposed to be fiction.
You think it's,
I do.
I keep on not registering that as really that bad. I mean,
you got a super chat, by the way.
I know I'm way behind in chat, so I'm gonna slowly catch up, because like if I scroll back, I won't. There's some really good comments that I don't want to miss. Agent Warlock says it's a misunderstanding what makes a charismatic ass like Tony Stark work. None of the charm or humanity. I want to talk about this. This is a great not segue, in way into talking about part of writing male characters, and I think they don't understand. It's not just male characters, because you can write a woman who's like a bit of an ass, but it's different because men and women are different and shocking. But they would never. I don't think any of these current writers would be able to do Tony Stark anymore. because you're right. There's a way to make an abrasive character work, and I've been studying this because I'm writing a book that has a very abrasive lead. But the key to doing that is they need they need to have humanity. It's best if they have some charm, but actually my the lead for Fiendish, Casimir, he's not even particularly charismatic. But what he is compelling, because I started out telling you his backstory, and you know that he has been through some trauma and it's slowly revealed, and the way he is because it's a defense mechanism to deal with the rest of the world. And there's redeeming qualities to him because he focuses on protecting the one family he does have left, and he focuses on being competent, and that's what he forms his identity around. And I have like a very deep understanding of his character. It's not that he's just an asshole to everybody. It's clearly a defense mechanism. He places importance on just being practical and being tough, that his whole identity is around being a good fighter and protecting people, but just his people. So because of that, he has no problem with being really cruel to everybody he doesn't know. And that comes across really abrasive, but because that is offset by my other character, who's his cousin, like the little kid who's very empathetic and talks to Casimir, and they, through dialogue, you understand their dynamic and you understand why Casimir is the way he is. That makes Casimir, hopefully, I'm hoping, but I've been told that it does work. That's the humanity of the character. They're not one dimensional. They're not just an entitled bitch like Galadriel, who is awesome at everything and is never kind of called out on. Like, you know,
never.
Like,
oh my god! Like,
and like
she's constantly like bitchy, even if she has no reason to be. She's demanding, and
right,
everyone just goes along with everything she wants, and then it makes no sense. It's like in the real world, people would look at her and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" Or like,
right.
"Why are you talking like this? Who are you?"
I'm so mad about Rings of Power because I'm a fan of Tolkien, and it's all of these works that are being subverted and rebooted and turned to shit. It's terrible, but especially like Rings of Power and The Witcher. But I'm not as big of a Witcher fan as Tolkien. It's just so dumb because
taking well written characters and making them poorly written it's like insanity.
It's part of demoralization, I think. And this is not, and that's not a big conspiracy theory. I think it's just a cultural trend of demoralization that is a natural result of this culture, this fad of postmodernism and absurdism, if you know what that term means. And it's kind of just gotten out of hand where people think being absurdist. And I would say that the humor in Velma is rather absurdist. It's nothing matters, including your investment. If you're invested in anything in the show, fuck you, because everything is meaningless and we're just going to be really random and crass. That's absurdism. What absurdism creates in entertainment as well, it's demoralizing, and they're trying to apply that to not just their own shit. If you want to go and create like your own shows that are complete absurdist postmodernist shit, that's fine, but they're subverting what already existed before, and that's the problem. So the issue with like Galadriel, for example, is there's no like real world consequences for her just being a bitch to everybody. Like people, they don't understand it seems like the writers don't understand the logic of like, well, how would other people naturally react, right? Because you like even a character who's really abrasive, like other people would react to them like, why are you being such a dick? And
even an animated character needs to have people, the animations around them reacting in a way that makes sense. But nothing in that show makes sense. It just goes, they don't stop at all. Like, it's just bam, 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 bam with everything. And by the time the show is done, you're left and you're sitting there and you're like, what even did I just see? Like, they don't give you any time to get to know the characters at all. They just have them look right in the camera and say, I'm awesome even though I'm terrible. You all love me. Ha ha, that's the joke, but not really. Like, over and over and over again. It's like the people who wrote it think that they're Family Guy, which, you know, isn't even funny. Like, okay, Family Guy can be funny, but it's not like hilarious. And
Yeah.
the funny parts of Family Guy are the random like cut scenes that mean, you know, that are just kind of silly. But and I hate to say this. I mean, I don't hate to say this, but like most women are not as good of writers as men, and Mindy Kaling proves that. She can't write a single character to save her life. They're all just like, it's almost like she's writing some sort of weird fiction about how she feels, like how she misses high school.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the real issue is that people, especially in current culture, because our culture has been mired in this girl power trend for so long, there's so many women that have never really been criticized in their lives and in their professions, and especially in Hollywood, because Hollywood is in California and California is insufferably woke. They will hire people just because they're women, because of diversity quotas. And I think a lot of these writers, especially the women, but it applies to all of them, have just never been criticized and told no, and told that you really suck, you need to redo this. And that, like, how the fuck did Velma get greenlit? Well, that's how. So I think everyone has their probably like talent is probably pretty equally distributed across the human population. It's just you have to work hard at it, and nobody wants to actually people don't want to like critique women, and they want to be nice to them. But what it's like when it comes to something like actually performing in your craft, that doesn't help. Like, it doesn't help people to spoil them and cater to the lowest common denominator. Always tell me you're so perfect. Oh my god, girl, you're queen. Go. You're so perfect. You don't need to improve anymore. That's what they're doing. That's why Mary Sue characters are insufferable, because and Galadriel, even Ray, and all these other absolutely terrible examples. Star Trek Discovery, STD. Um, the characters are written by people who have never been really criticized, and they just aren't aware that they need to improve, and that's the problem. So and it creates this sort of this is it an illusion, or it makes the problem worse, because Hollywood and current like modern society, they want to want to like raise women up and all this shit. But what you're doing by not actually just treating women like human beings and criticizing them, and this happens in comics as well. Look how well things have gone in comics, right? Because the problem isn't that women can't do comics. That's bullshit. The problem is, well, most women, first of all, aren't interested in superhero comics. Right. So when you just want to let more women into comics, you just want more women in comics. Well, but in like mainstream American comics and Marvel and DC, it's superhero comics. So just naturally speaking, not as many women would be interested in working in superhero comics. But they were so desperate for diversity quotas. They're like, we need like 50-50 parity. We need more women, yeah, for ideology reasons. So they let in a bunch of women just because they were women, and maybe they were good writers. I doubt this. In other genres, there are a couple who are good writers in other genres. Nice. But most of them really just got in because they were like, well, I'm diverse, I want in. And what happens is they come into superhero comics and they basically want to write YA, or they want to write slice of life, and they guilt these companies into giving them work. And our culture is so fucking insane that somehow works and is ruining mainstream comics. Because
and then when people do tell them, like, you know, hey, that wasn't great, they go, fine then, don't buy my book. Like,
yes, exactly. Well, they're not buying your book. And then it creates this stupid, it just makes the problem worse, because it makes people think, it's like, it makes some people actually think, well, women can't write. It's not that. It's because you guys are so stupid about you're so eager. You're so eager to just cater to people, and you're treating people, the diaspora that you want to rise up, you want to raise up, you want to like portray and show the world and showcase, right? Let's put it that way. That you're treating them like little babies who can do no wrong. And that makes them seem weak and unlikable, and they don't perform because you're treating them like little babies that cannot be criticized. And nobody is telling them that. And a lot of people are afraid to say so, because if you do, you get called names, you get called racist or misogynist or whatever, but it's a self-perpetuating problem because you're just not actually treating people like human beings. Merit-based. That's all that you have to do. Just treat people on the basis of merit. It doesn't matter what skin color, what gender they are, and then we're going to have everything will work out pretty well, but that's not what's happening right now. That was a huge tangent, but good points were made.
It wasn't a tangent. It's totally relevant. All of these characters that these people make are poorly written characters, not just because they haven't been told what to read, because the best way to become a better writer is to read, like, anything and everything, and see what works for you. What do you like to read? Because anything and everything that is throughout history that has been well written can appeal to all of humanity, even if it's not like your bag, you know, like you can read Sherlock Holmes, and even if you're not into like mysteries or whatever, you can still see this is exceptionally well written. You can read The Hobbit, and even if your thing isn't fantasy, you're like, this is a very good book. I can see why it is good. Because, you know, not only does it have a compelling storyline, which we've talked about, and interesting like creatures, but also it has characters with very human characteristics, even though they're not humans. You know, like in The Hobbit, I don't think there are any humans in The Hobbit.
I don't think
so. I think it's dwarves and hobbits and a dragon and trolls.
And Gandalf.
And basically an angel.
Yeah.
So, the Hobbit book is better than the movie, says Hyrule Guy. Yeah, obviously.
The movies were... Guillermo del Toro was going to direct it, and he should have been a director, because it would have been so much better.
That would have been so good.
Yeah, it should have been him, because I think Peter Jackson was the right pick for the Lord of the Rings movies, of course, but there were a couple of pitfalls for Hobbit, because the Hobbit is not Lord of the Rings. It takes place in the same world. They're like tangentially kind of related, but it's not the same story. The Hobbit is much more of a kid's story,
and it's shorter.
It's very short. It should have just been one movie, and they should have let Guillermo do it. I don't know why it fell through, but his sort of eye for like fantastical storytelling and that whimsy that he has would have been perfect for The Hobbit. The Hobbit is not an epic,
and it would have had that darkness too, like that
little darkness.
Like Del Toro was really good at walking that darkness line,
like whimsy but dark. That would have been perfect. Like The Hobbit is not some epic story like they tried to make it out to be. So it just got weird. But yeah, I don't know. Holly doesn't know what they're doing. Raleigh and Yanzi for $1.99. Thank you. I watched Wednesday with the Japanese dub on. Okay.
Did that make it better?
Did you have to listen to anybody? Probably did make it. Were you also on substances? Because I assumed that would have helped a lot. I assumed that would have helped. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't watched Wednesday, but I hear mixed reviews. I hear that it's okay, but I think just there's so much shit out there that a show that just isn't like trash is okay now. Is like, wow, it's so good. Like something that would
there
be
was
a fucking 2 is like a 5 now.
There was one good scene, and it's only because she plays the cello really well, and that's cool.
Cool.
I was like, I was like, I don't hate this. Like, the rest of the show sucks but I don't hate this part. Cool.
Okay. Well, she actually plays the cello. That's good.
I don't know if the actress, like, in real life plays the cello, but she played it, like, for the scene. So, it was good.
Yeah. Well, good on her. Yeah.
Hooray for that.
Yeah, hooray. Yeah, wow. Small.
And that's another thing, though. Like, a dark character, or even a family of dark characters like the Addamses, why did people like them? It's partially because even though, you know, they're creepy and they're kooky and like, you know, mysterious and spooky as the song goes, they still had no idea. like you were saying, their blind spot. They had no clue. They were normal, just like the Munsters, right? They're normal. Everybody else are the weirdos. Like how what they did to Marilyn in the Munsters. They'd be like, "Oh, poor ugly child," when like she was the normal, like, you know, blonde pretty chick. They just didn't know. Like that's part of their charm. That and the fact that they were a tight family. Like they supported each other.
Yeah.
And there was none of that. Like absolutely none of that in the Wednesday show. So
Oh, no.
it was exactly as though they had done the thing that is popular now, where they deconstructed the thing so that you're like, oh, I'm so subverted. It's just like, I don't want subversion. I don't want deconstruction. If you're gonna make a continuation and make it true to the characters that I love, because if you don't, then I'm gonna hate them. The same with Neil Gaiman and his TV show. Not even talking about his race swapping, but all of the characters in that TV show were boring because they didn't do anything. They were completely stripped of anything that made them interesting in the books. Dream in the TV show, he's just this emo, like boring guy who's just like, my life is long and boring. In the book, he's dynamic. He punches demons with his fist. He doesn't even have to do that. He could create a reality bubble and trap a demon inside this reality bubble and make them insane incessantly forever. He's done it before. But when he, which is why it makes it more intense when he just straight up punches something, because it's like, oh, he's mad. He's touching you. Like, he could do worse things. Like, but in the TV show, they just deconstructed him completely, and now he's like a boring Edward Cullen from Twilight, like who's just like, can I come in? And the demon's like, no, and he's like, please. Like, he's basically Marvin, like the robot from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but like not funny. You don't understand anything I'm saying, but the chat knows what I'm talking about.
I don't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The chat knows what I'm talking about. And you know what I'm talking about. You don't want your stuff deconstructed and turned into something else that completely has no human characteristics. Like, I can't relate to this now. And it doesn't matter what the character is. If you can't relate to it in some way, it's not a compelling character. Even if the relation that you're getting is, I'm afraid of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a scary person.
Mm-hmm. I think what they're doing, besides from obviously deconstructing existing stories, is with Neil Gaiman. He's such a fucking weirdo because he used to be so brilliant, but now it's like his brain has rotten or something, and he's like destroying his own work. And this happens with, like,
it's because he married a feminist, and then she threatened to divorce him on their personal Patreon page while he was out of town.
Holy shit. Okay, don't stick your dick in crazy. Lesson 1 for men. Like, a cardinal rule to follow.
That's why Neil, Kneel, is how you should spell his name now. That's why he went from, that's why he went from a tweet in October of the year before where he said, you can't betray the fan base, because if you take away what the fan base loves, they're not going to love it anymore. He said that.
Yes.
And then 3 months later, he took away what everyone loves.
So you think that it's because of that. It's literally he's under threat by the crazy bitch he married. Oh, I didn't know that. I mean,
Well,
I still
he
hate
knows
him, but
that if she leaves him, she gets half his shit, and they have a kid together.
God, don't stick your dick in crazy.
Please.
Yeah, and
I've been
women stop.
I've been begging guys to stop doing that for years.
Women, stop being so crazy. Okay, I know modern culture like one is like treats you like way too well and never criticizes you, but you're not that. You're not hot shit. You're just people. We're all humans. Okay, you're not better than
Yeah.
anybody. And men have some standards. Stop sticking your dick in crazy. Okay,
And
my dating advice that nobody should listen to.
Neil Gate kept Sandman for 30 years on the basis of I want to make sure it's done right, and then gave us that whole freaking 6-episode fart. Like, ridiculous.
Gosh, Granda, my good friend for Colombia. What's up, Granda? Welcome.
Oh, nice. I think you had a $10 super chat. Do you just want to go through the whole stream and then at the end go through all the super chats?
Maybe because we're talking a lot, so I'll slowly scroll. No, I'll just slowly scroll and catch up.
Yeah, Jonathan is here. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, hello. Okay, let me just scroll down for a second.
I gotta say hi to Jonathan because he published me. So.
Oh, okay, awesome. Hi, Jonathan. Ryan Blue Thunder. So, what's our consensus on GRM writing? The female consensus. Well, we're just two women. We don't speak for all women.
Germ.
Germ. Yeah. Arya Sansabrian and Cersei.
Is that George R.R. Martin?
Yes. Yeah. So, I am actually a fan of his work. I have a complicated relationship with his work now. I love him and hate him.
You've talked about it before.
I have been on many rants about this, but I've read all the Song of Ice and Fire books. I have the World of Ice and Fire, the giant art book. I read the shit. I did read it, but I can't think of the fucking name. The Targaryen Civil War book now. The Princess and the Queen, or the Reds and the Greens. Anyways, so yeah, I think he is. That is one of my favorite things about him. He actually does write female characters well. He is a super like woo-woo hippie postmodernist, and if you read his work you realize that. But the thing is, he was like an older generation of postmodernists, right? Because if you read Song of Ice and Fire, you'll see that there's so much stuff that is like, he has his own brilliance in some ways, but at the same time, well, when you've read other works, there's a lot of derivativeness to A Song of Ice and Fire. You see that with Jon and Ygritte's story, it's like Beren and Luthien, but it's also a lot like Paul and Chani. There's a lot of Dune references. There's a lot of
are there really?
Yeah, there's a lot of Dune, and there's like Dune is so influential. I read Dune after I read a lot of other fantasy books. I didn't even realize that. Oh my god, so many things were influenced by Dune. It's very interesting. But
I haven't read any Song of Ice and Fire, so I have no idea. I only watched the first season, and I couldn't bear to watch anymore.
The books are actually really good, but I will say the later ones get really meandering, and I was so frustrated. Like, I just started listening to audiobooks instead, so I just listen while I work, so I don't have to like put that much effort into it. And there were chapters where I just went through it so I wouldn't miss anything in case he buried some clue in there. But like, his problem is he overwrites. Like, the thing I talked about when we're talking about world building, about how you should stay on track with your main story, he is terrible at doing that. And that's one of my problems with him, because when he stays on track and just tells the main story, he has really good characterization. That's what he's good at. But he gets so distracted. Like, he already has like in main cast already like 10 characters with like big character arcs already set up. Like, there's so many amazing character arcs. He's really good at setting things up and set up and payoff in his books. That's why like the Red Wedding was like so shocking. Like, Ned's death was so like really well done in the books, and the shit that was one of the only like the early seasons of the TV show. The whole book is like that. Like the first few episodes of season 1, right?
So but how do his female characters have great range and motivation?
I think they're Arya, I would disagree. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Arya in the books, right? Because she's this little girl who has lost her family, and she's obviously somewhat traumatized, but she joined like an assassin's cult, and I don't know where she's going. I don't really understand where her arc is. Cersei is
which one
very
is that?
similar to the Queen.
Oh, the one who cut all her hair off?
Yeah.
And was fucking her brother?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Cersei in the books...
And almost killed that little boy. I hated that part.
Yeah, well, that's Jaime. I think, yeah, well, Cersei in the books is... I think in the show, she's almost more likable in the show. Lena Headey did a really good job. But in the books, she's... I think his characters have so much... Like, female characters have a lot of depth. And, for example, Cersei is a classic example. She's like, how do I put this? Sorry, like I'm like a little spazzy tonight.
Tonight.
She's I'm always spazzy, but I'm trying to like form words, so be patient with me, please. She's like a character. Imagine a modern character that's from like I don't know, The Witcher or like fucking Yennefer. I hate Yennefer in The Witcher show so much. Or like Galadriel, or like the Queen in Rings of Power, like a woman who's in a powerful position but just seems to like is really full of themselves, like he's on making bad decisions and is really entitled and spiteful of the world, even though they like have had a pretty good life overall, and they're not half as brilliant as they think they are. That's what it is. They think they're so smart and awesome and they deserve so much more, but they really don't. They really just don't have the capability. I'm sorry. Cersei
and they never learn a lesson.
Yes, Cersei is that kind of character, but the writer is aware that she's that kind of character, and she pays consequences for her actions, for her entitlement and her grasping for power and not being aware that she actually just isn't that smart. And that's what's good about her in the book. So she is like that kind of character, but she pays the price for it. And she is evil and manipulative, and like most normal people fall for it because she's so graceful and well spoken and beautiful. But at the end, she pays a price for all her manipulation, and she loses her children, all this stuff. Sorry, spoilers. And Brienne, I would say, Brienne's arc is more external. I think internally she's always been really honorable. Like I'm an honorable knight. I want to be a knight, and her challenge has been like externally finding people who will accept her as a warrior, because it's like she's a woman, and most warriors obviously are men. But so I think her character development is fairly static. She's one of those characters who their progression is in their skill more than their internal struggle. So Sansa is really good in the book. So Sansa is like sort of your average, like really girly girl who just does
is she
what.
The one who marries that annoying kid?
Yeah, she's Ned Stark's older daughter, and she's like this. Her arc is this innocent sort of girly girl who just believes in knights and princesses, and I'm going to marry a prince and everything's going to be so happy. And she's so innocent and trusting, and you're so annoyed at her at first, especially because Arya is portrayed as, well, she's like the one who likes to fight, she's a tomboy, she's more dynamic, and she's like calling out Joffrey for being a dick, because we all can see that Joffrey's a dick, but Sansa is trusting and innocent, so she's like, oh my god, he's the prince, I'm gonna marry him. And then the two sisters fight. It's just like how it happens in the show, except they're younger. And but I think they also like totally shafted her character in the books. But the thing with Sansa's arc is it's so internal. In the books, she clearly grows from somebody who is so innocent. She goes through all this trauma. She causes her father's death indirectly, and then she is basically held captive by Cersei. But through watching Cersei, she grows to become slowly like more manipulative, more ruthless, but also she still has that kind of kind part of her that doesn't go away, even later on in the story. And like I think some like horrible shit's gonna happen to her. So because that's how they're playing it, because there are people who are like manipulating and using her, but I think that's going to circle around and she's going to get revenge on those people. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I just went off and like summarized all these character arcs. But I think he writes women really well, because he writes women like just normal fucking people, right? They have flaws, they have character arcs, and I think Brienne and I don't know where Arya's going. Brienne less so. Sansa, Cersei, and Daenerys in the books is really well written, and she's so much her final like the fact that she might be a mad queen and she might fall is so much more obvious in the books. Those are the female characters that especially take center stage, and I don't think I don't really see anyone doing that, because to write a character that's compelling, you need to give them not just flaws, but they have to be deeply flawed. They can't be aware of themselves, and they need to fail a lot, and they need to be hurt and face consequences. And no one is willing to do that, especially to female characters right now.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let me catch up on chat.
I think somebody asked what fantasy series had the best written female characters. I'm not even sure I can answer that, because I honestly don't really like reading fantasy. I'm writing it, so I do make myself read it usually, but I'm more of a sci-fi reader, quite honestly. And as far as female characters go in sci-fi, then I would say Ender's Game has really good and really compelling female characters, but also child characters. Children can be hard for people to write because they've forgotten, especially if they, don't have kids or their kids are grown up and now they're writing because they have time. They've forgotten what it is like to be a child, and they just write something that's like insufferable. Yeah. Just like, it's just a tiny annoying person. Or like in a lot of shows now, or even comic books, like the MOM book that was written by the chick who played Daenerys. The little boy in that book is like the freaking worst. They tried to make him what is in the Big Bang Theory, that like really annoying character, the Bazinga guy or whatever.
I don't watch Big Bang Theory.
Anyway, she tried to make this little boy like this super genius child, but he just comes off as really insufferable because he's like, I'm going to watch the show on PBS that's about how the proletariat reacted in The Lion King or something. And you're reading this comic and you're like, is that a child? And they're like, that's my 5-year-old. And I'm like, even a smart 5-year-old still talks like a 5-year-old. They're not talking like, even a 5-year-old who has a large vocabulary for a 5-year-old still talks like a 5-year-old. And what they did with Ender, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ender's Game, but
I've read it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Finally, we've read the same thing for once.
I'm so used to just like saying things that you don't get that I was just like, she won't get this one either.
I read books sometimes.
Okay, good, cool. So Valentine is one of only two. My dog's name is Valentine. He's like, what?
Yeah, you're right. I forgot all about that.
There's really only two major female characters in Ender's Game. And these are all hyper intelligent children, like on purpose, they've been bred this way. Hyper intelligent, but also like with a little bit of I don't know, I want to call it sociopathy, but like they are bred to be hyper intelligent and also to kill. And they're written in a way where you don't hate them because they're kids. And even though they're very intelligent, they still end up reacting to the world around them the way that a child would in that situation. He walked that line really well. And especially with the little girls, like with Valentine, she's all alone. She no longer has, her little brother. And now she has to just deal with her actually literally crazy older brother who like kills animals and shit
Who's
and like
actually a
tortures her.
sociopath, right?
Yeah, like he wasn't allowed to become a soldier because he was too much of a dick.
Right.
So they just left him there. and you know, she has to deal with that. And they all sort of deal with it as kids with all these grown-ups around them, not really understanding how to handle that. Like they never really know what to do. And the only other, I think, I'm almost positive, the only other female is up, you know, in the spaceship with Ender and all these boys.
Right, I forgot her
Petra.
name. The super aggressive one.
Petra.
Right, they were like they thought she was genetically a boy because
Well,
she was so aggressive.
Yeah, she walks around naked just like all the other boys, but she's
Right.
clearly a girl. And that's just like how they all, you know, act up there. But she has reacted, you know, he made her sort of a tomboy, but he still made them all react how children would react. So they have huge vocabularies and they're hyper intelligent. They know facts, but emotionally they're still children. So the way that they react to things is very childlike.
Children can be intelligent, but they're not wise. They don't have wisdom. And they don't have experience. So that's the difference. They're innocent. Innocence and intelligence are not the same things. And that was why they wanted child soldiers, because they were like, well, an adult would hold back when we don't want them to hold back. And I forgot
or an adult would notice that they're being manipulated.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah,
even
I forgot. Oh, I need to read that again.
Just don't watch the movie. It's so bad.
I ignored that.
It's
really bad?
It's really bad.
Of course it is.
You almost can't make an Ender's Game movie because he's 6 years old.
Yeah.
And he's doing things no 6-year-old would do. He's killing other kids with his bare hands. Like and you don't hate him though. You don't look at him and you're like, that is an evil kid. You feel bad for him.
He's being manipulated into doing it, though. He's being forced to do this.
And then they don't even tell him. And then when they do tell him, it's at a point that where they want to manipulate him even further.
God, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Ideator for 5. Thank you, Ideator. All this talk of bad female characters will have me watching Avatar TLA again soon. I appreciate the topics of the stream. Sub to Ali's channel. Awesome.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah. Avatar, did you watch Avatar?
Are you talking about the anime or the...
The anime. Fuck the blue people shit.
I was gonna say. No, it didn't really look like the kind of anime that I like. I'm kind of lame in the kind of anime I usually watch, honestly. It's like Outlaw Star and then like gay romances.
Oh. Okay. That's your taste in anime. Okay. We know Ali's secret now.
It's not very secret.
Okay, all right. Well, that's your.
But I didn't watch it. I've been told it's good, but like I feel like there's probably better anime out there for me.
Right.
Like what's the other one? Full Metal Alchemist. Like I'd much rather watch that.
Oh, Full Metal Alchemist is great. No, Avatar: The Last Airbender is really good. I think it's almost on par with FMA, and so the magic system of Fiendish is kind of like this combination of Nen from Hunter x Hunter, FMA, and Avatar: The Last Airbender, kind of like elemental magic. I mean, it's not like the first show ever to do elemental magic, but I loved it so much that I watched it in college. It was so good, and then on top of a bunch of like Nordic shit. But yeah, Avatar was really good, and we had like this culturally speaking, this like gap of about 10 or 15 years where things are just normal. People weren't like just discriminating against people. Most people were not discriminating against like others for no reason. And then we had like everybody was capable of writing minority or gay or women characters, like normal human beings that were compelling and had character arcs, and then
or funny satire.
Or funny satire. We were allowed to, like, that we
Like
had things
Fooly
were,
Cooley is a funny satire.
yeah, but like American culture, we were going in like at the right general direction, and then things just went to shit. But Avatar was created in that time where it's like, well, you're still, we were allowed to write female characters with depth. And Katara, like the girl in the core group, she was a really good
That
female
little blonde
character.
kid just looks really annoying. That's the real reason I never watched it, because that kid looks
No,
annoying.
no, he's not annoying at all.
He's not.
No, 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 he's really kind and like vulnerable. He's like the main criticism is, well, he caused a lot of trouble because he was so young. So the whole idea is, there's like the sort of the savior of the world is someone called is like this a person called the Avatar. It's like the concept is taken from the Dalai Lama. So they're reincarnated like every lifetime, and they're born in different parts of the world. So they have like different elemental powers. It depends. But there's like an order to which the Avatar is born into like the different cultures. The four elementals powers are divided are the four main cultures in Avatar. But so like the adults around Aang, the main character, knew that he was the Avatar, but they didn't. You're not supposed to tell them until they're an adult or they're 16, because it's like too much pressure, and you're just supposed to train them and help them develop as a person before telling them, oh my god, you're the savior of the world, right? Because that'll fuck with you. So, but because there was a crisis going on, he was told he was the Avatar when he was only like 10, and he got scared and he ran away, and that's his flaw, and that's sort of his journey of atonement. Like he ran away, and then he got like trapped in an iceberg, and then like 100 years later he broke out of it, and the world has gone to shit because he wasn't there to save it. So he's trying to atone for that. But he's a very kind, like sweet kid. He's not annoying, and like the female characters are really well done. Here Toph is a great example of how you can write a female character who's brash and loud and tough and loves to fight and punch things and swears. She picks her toenails, and she's just like she acts like a tough man, but the thing is she's this little girl, and it works for her because not only and she's also super competent. Like she's basically the most competent character in the whole group, and she almost never fails. So she's this little blind girl who was is like a genius earthbender. So because she was blind, all her senses have been she trained her own senses to kind of feel the earth, and so she like senses the world through her feet. It's kind of like Daredevil, but she walks around barefoot and she can sense vibrations through her feet. So to the point where she can like feel somebody's heartbeat and like sense where people are. So it makes sense in anime land. And so
I mean, what doesn't make sense in an anime, honestly?
yeah, but like in that world, it's a pretty good explanation. So she like quietly, trained herself to become like this amazing earthbender, and she was sneaking out and fighting. But her family was like very traditional. They like protected her like a wilting flower because her father was like, oh, my little girl, you're blind, and I need to protect you. And they wanted her to be proper, and they didn't want her to go out. Certainly didn't want her to go out fighting. So she just had enough of it one day and ran away with Aang to go out and save the world. So she's a character that all these writers now are trying to do. She's like amazing fighter, she's super tough, and she's all of those things, but she also has this vulnerability because she's like guilty of leaving her father. She shows weakness when she's around him, and she eventually, she cares about her friends. She's an actual human being who, beneath the veneer, she has sympathy and cares about people. And like that's really the key to making a character work.
She kind of sounds like Eowyn.
I would say not really, not beyond. A little bit, but I think those types of characters, that's like the Mulan type of character, right? But except Mulan wasn't like really kept from fighting, I guess, sort of. But Mulan's different
Wait,
because
wait, wait. Are we talking about like actual Mulan or Disney Mulan?
no, actual Mulan.
Okay.
Yeah, who like she's different because she fought because she had to take on the mantle of like protecting her family. But then again,
well, this is one case where you'd know more than me because I only know about the Disney Mulan. I don't know about the real Mulan.
I don't think the animated Mulan was bad. The real Mulan was not. The main difference was she wasn't persecuted for being a woman in the actual original Chinese story.
Okay.
But like I think with Toph, the main difference is sort of like you know like complicated family relationships. I wouldn't say it's like Mulan. Eowyn, I guess she's like she wants to be a fighter. She wants to go out and like sort of do what's a more male dominated activity, but her family doesn't want her to. I think Toph is similar that way, but there are a lot of female characters like that. But with her, it's it's
Is
not
it
even
that
quite this.
she's like a kid, so she has more to like learn?
What do you mean?
I'm just guessing. I don't because I've never seen Avatar.
Oh, I think that's part of it, but all the main characters are kids. I think with Toph, it's like she actually has a reason for leaving because they're trying to save the world and she realizes she can help. So it's not just,
Okay.
well, I want to be a warrior. It's more than that. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about females. What about well-written male characters? Because I would think that like the weird NPCs who can't write, they think, they have to when they think good. Let me collect my thoughts.
Okay, no, let me.
They look at characters over time, right? And they say, okay, throughout time, all these popular male characters are all like strong and tough and like, women like them. Like so we have to break that down and again subvert the expectations. Just completely discard everything from before, just deconstruct all of it, and we're gonna build up a new male character, but he's not really male. He's All the newer male characters are mostly just females with wieners because they have they
God,
have they
yeah.
have feminine characteristics, like they're nervous, they are overly emotional, they're weak, they're always like skinny, like they're not even strong, it's like they're always making way for the women around them. It's almost like the most common male characteristic right now is like self-loathing, and like just a desire to stop so that like so they can build women up or whatever. It's super depressing and like you were saying earlier, demoralizing. Well-written male characters, and I think what they have confused it with as far as well-written male characters, because it is take Aragorn, right? Insanely well-written male character.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side of that, in specifically Tolkien, is Samwise. They're different. They're different men.
Shocking.
But they're still really good male characters, very masculine characters. There's nothing feminine, you can say like, oh, hobbits are chubby, but like there's nothing feminine about Samwise Gamgee or about Aragorn, even though they're capable of different things, and indeed they need to do different things. They both take on responsibilities that feel too big for them. They both have to be strong, even though it's in different ways for different challenges. They both have male friends that freaking shocker, they don't want to fuck. Because that's another thing that modern writing is. It's always men, just everybody, but mostly men, like, can't just be friends now.
Oh my
Like,
god.
they all just want to tap each other all the time. It's very weird and gross. It's like the man who wrote these characters was on the battlefield making, like, death to the death friendships with other men. He understood that, and that's what he wrote. And they're very, they're leaders, they're responsible, they're manly, and they both have different callings, but they're both masculine. And now they just have taken all that away to where it's like, men aren't allowed to have responsibilities anymore. Men aren't allowed to have a physique anymore. They're not allowed to have testosterone anymore. And none of that is relatable to even to modern men. Modern men don't relate to that. Instinctively, they don't relate to it, which is why they hate it and they mock it. Nobody's watching Velma and going like, I really relate to this new Fred. His small dick energy is really what I want to aspire to be like. No man is watching that and thinking that. Like that,
or more Scoob, not Scoob.
Or not Shaggy.
Not Shaggy, right? I think because he's portrayed as, well, he's like the nice guy. Ugh, I hate that term. And like, this is what guys are supposed to be like, more or less. But no man wants to be like that. But that's what they're trying to condition men to be like.
When they make up tropes in the show too, like freaking, he's over there and he talks to he's basically talking to the audience because in that show specifically, no character can be shown to do anything. They're all telling the audience, "Oh, I'm amazing. Oh, I'm hot." Like, and he's just like, "Oh, male characters who have crushes, they always sell their liver to impress a girl." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? When does that happen? What are you talking about? Why would a man do that? A real, well-written, masculine man." And
did they see like one esoteric indie movie somewhere that did that? They're like, "Ooh, let me make that reference." Nobody the fuck.
They watch too much Netflix, maybe, or I don't know. Buffy again. There's a lot of dudes in Buffy who did weird stuff. Like, you didn't watch Buffy, but
no, I didn't.
That happens quite a lot in Buffy, but it actually usually like wasn't terrible. It was just like, why is he doing that? What a silly head. Like,
fucking Joss Whedon.
It doesn't make sense. But I recently read this old book from, like, I think it's in the other room, but it's one of those old pulp, paperback adventure books, that like takes place on another planet, and it's like, a strong Earthman is stranded on Venus, and he has to, fight strange creatures and woo the lady. And I was reading it, and it's very much written for men. The characters the characters are not particularly deep. They, he's the greatest guy on the planet because none of the other male characters seem to understand how to fight or anything. Just like this random Earthman appears and suddenly he can solve everyone's problems. So he's kind of like a Gary Stu or whatever we're calling a male Mary Sue now. So he wasn't actually particularly well written. It was just very, very thin, but very actiony. And I realized, like, okay, this is specifically written for men. It was kind of like a romance novel for men, like how tons of women read romance novels.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like that, but for a dude. I think one of them read one of those once, and they were like, "Oh, that must be what all of literature is about men. So we're gonna make fun of that." But it's like there's so many deeper male characters. In fact, there's obviously way more deeper male characters than there are female characters.
Yeah, because people don't know how to write women. It's an ongoing problem. Even all these people who want to raise up women, they don't know how to fucking write women. It's retarded. I think there are stories that are male power fantasies, like stuff like Rambo, for example. But I think that probably works in with
Agent
those
Warlock,
stories.
it wasn't John Carter. It was something similar though. Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. There are stories that are male power fantasies, but there's a way to do that that isn't shallow because
Well,
and
Conan.
yeah, Conan as well. Conan and Rambo are both these male power fantasy stories, but
But they're
modern
really good.
modern Hollywood writers have this misunderstanding of what these stories are actually about. It's like they read the surface of everything, and they when whether they're adapting it or whether they're referencing it, they only see the dressing. They don't understand what's underneath. They
Right.
just see, well, muscular guy fights things and takes women, and all the women love him and all this stuff. So yeah, that's all it is, and it's just about making men feel better about themselves. Actually, it's not. What those stories do is they teach men to be defenders and protectors, because Conan and Rambo aren't going around just taking power for themselves. They want, especially Conan, he wants power, but he protects the people that he's supposed to protect. He's challenging and he's brash and he's willing to fight and he's a bit of an asshole sometimes, but he's super no nonsense. But at the end of the day, he's not going around hurting people for no reason.
Well,
And that's
and the ladies love him, but he's not just like giving into a female's every demand either. Like
yes,
he'll turn a woman away. He'll be like, "I'm busy." Like,
right.
what do you want? Stop it. Like that's what happened in the comic that Frigga and Hockey and I read with
Mm-hmm.
that was Conan.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Nah, bitch, I'm doing stuff. Like I have to fight. Like I don't need your thing. Like I have treasure and I have a job to do. I'm going to go do that." And it's like now the way that they would write, that type of character is he'd immediately be like, "I love you. I'll stop doing what I'm doing and give you the chance to do what I'm doing because you're obviously going to be better at it than me. The power was in you all along. The
Oh yeah.
sacred feminine."
The
Like,
women in Conan will always be better than him at everything. But it's dumb because it's not like there aren't tough women in Conan. It's just they don't like. Why do you have to put down men to make women better? That's the
oh my
thing.
gosh.
And stories like Conan and Rambo are actually teaching men to be strong, to be protectors, to be no nonsense, and to have good judgment, not put up with bullshit, because that's what masculinity is. The thing that modern writers, like these stupid California types, don't understand about traditional or classical masculinity and femininity, I think, is so masculinity, they clearly don't understand what that is, or either of these things are. I think uh, in general, classical masculinity is taking on responsibility and burdens and going out to fight so the people you care about don't have to fight and don't have to take on those burdens, because you're taking it on your shoulders. You're fighting for other people, and
Yeah.
that's why you have to be strong. Classical femininity is creating the space where masculinity can thrive, something for masculinity to fight for, that space to come back to, that nurturing area where this is what's worth fighting for. This is what I'm going to come back to. And this is what makes, like, somewhere where I can open up about, like the hardships of the world, and it's all the pain and suffering is worth it. And also that will fight if there is nobody else to do it. That's why characters like Ripley and and Sarah Connor, they work because there is no one else to fight. So they're standing up to fight for somebody that they love. But
Yeah.
what deep inside what they want to do is they want to nurture. they're loving, sympathetic, empathetic characters, but if somebody they love is in danger, they step up to fight. Aowen was like that as well. That's why she worked. But Hollywood writers and these woke California types don't understand either of these things. They don't understand the balance and the mutual respect and that masculinity and femininity
the roles
classically
that they
had for
fill.
each other, that the roles that they're supposed to fill, that most people naturally fall into, that has made the human race thrive for billions of years, they don't understand that.
And
So
that's why nobody can relate to these characters, because they're not written to be human in any way. And even superhuman characters throughout, all of literature history, from Beowulf to Odysseus, they were all, well, I guess they wouldn't be, whatever, you know what I mean. Superhuman characters, say Perseus, or even like Thor, they all had human traits, human characteristics, so that we can, as people, we read them and we relate to that. And what happens when we can relate to them is we are put in that situation while we're reading it. And if in real life we would cower in that situation, through the literature, we can triumph. We can be brave and triumph through that character. And that creates our own personal growth as we're reading, without, necessarily having to go out and perform a brave act to learn that feature about ourselves. That's why reading is so important. It's not just so that you can be a great writer, it's so you can be a better person in general, without having to, necessarily go to war, or, whatever. You can go out and you can do the small things that, you can manage in your life because of a well-written character. Nobody is reading, I don't know, nobody's reading Bella, or like from Twilight. Nobody's reading Christian Grey and saying, because of those characters, I want to be a better person. I want to do things. I want to experience things. I want to move forward in my life. I guess what I'm saying is, like, a good character at its core, because you can relate to it, even if it's an animal. In, like, the Redwall series, for example, you relate to that character and its humanity, and it inspires something within you. And that is something that is universally human across cultures. That's why we translate things, because they're relatable all through culture.
Well, I think this trend of postmodernism has a problem with exactly that. They don't seem to want to inspire anyone. They're nihilistic in nature, and they're absurdist and postmodernist. Well, postmodernism means breaking everything down and essentially into its absurdist roots, so nothing matters. And by nature, that is not inspiring. So that it's like it's a this weird philosophy it's a fun thought experiment, but at the end of the day, that is not the whole point of storytelling. Is to inspire and to to carry on culture, to carry on stories, moral lessons, but it is to inspire, because that's what storytelling is it can be just to entertain, but the best stories inspire us to be better people. Like you were saying, cross culturally, there are the same things that people love about storytelling. It's the same kind of characters that are relatable, that people like, because they want to aspire to be them. But now, writing and storytelling in our media has become not about showing people how to be better, but, well, unless you're like a certain gender and race and have to trash on you incessantly. But then it's not even like, well, this is how you can be better, because first of all, their argument makes no sense, and you're essentially will never win because you're just evil because you're like a white man or something. That's their view, because that's what modern Californians think. But so their whole ideology and cultural outlook is antithetical to what storytelling is about. Yeah. And why do you? So and they're shocked that their stories aren't selling, and people are mad about all these new adaptations. I mean, shock. It's easier to put down the strong characters and raise up others. Yeah,
that's true. They're shocked to the point of like creating conspiracy theories about like, well, it can't be bad, so it must be the world is against me.
Right? They've never been criticized. They've never been told that like this is really bad, and like it's so unbelievable. Like, I know as an artist it's hard to take criticism sometimes, but the level doggo but like the level to which their hubris is just shocking, because this is supposed to be like the highest point of performance for our entertainment. You're in Hollywood, you're being paid like mad money to create these things. You're getting paid so much more money, but like a random guy on YouTube will break down your story. There's this guy, you should look it up. He's this giant fan of Tolkien who is doing his own like narrated this is what the Amazon Second Age story should have been. And so he's not just saying it, he's like episode by episode. There's like 45-minute videos. He uses like art, because there's so much Tolkien art, and he like narrates it. It's like he scripted the whole thing out. He's reading the script, he's using art, and it's like a TV show, but it's storyboards, and it's so much better than what Amazon did because it's created by a fan, and these are what people are doing for free. But the cucklefucks in Hollywood who are being paid so much money can't do the same thing. When they're like, how is this possible? It's just unbelievable, and I feel like we're in like end times Roman Empire, French Revolution era or some shit, because our elites are just so disjointed from what the regular person understands and what regular human beings feel.
Well, and the funny thing is, like, all of these people have so much hubris, but they can't even recognize it because they've never read any classical literature, so they don't even know what hubris is.
No, I'm convinced. I agree. These people don't read. Because if you did read, how could you suck so badly? Even other works, like just classical works, like or maybe they just really don't have the fucking brain power to, because I don't think they've read the classics, because reading the classics means like ancient stories like Homer and the Greek philosophers and like these.
Well, and you have to have a certain amount of vocabulary.
You do, and go read Conan Doyle, go read all this kind of stuff, fucking Chaucer, Norse stories, all of this stuff.
Even Frankenstein, Dorian Gray, like all these people who say they're fans of things. They're like, oh, I like horror. It's like, no, man, you gotta read like the old stuff that's gonna fuck your shit up. Like your mind is gonna
read Lovecraft.
I haven't even read Lovecraft. That's how much I'm worried about it fucking me up.
It's pretty. It'll mildly fuck you up. But yeah, I don't know if they haven't read. I doubt they've read the classics, but I think maybe they're so ideological as to the point where, because they claim to have read Tolkien, but they read it on such a like, maybe their lack of understanding is so deep that they fail to understand what's beneath the words. I don't understand how it's possible, because these works are so well written, and how can you read something like Tolkien and not feel the character journey and just understand, like, see the overarching themes, and like it's in your heart. It's like takes your heart and just like clamps down on, like, when it gets to the end and when you're in Mordor. It's so good, but so how can these people read it and not understand what Tolkien's about? But that's what seems to have happened. They don't have understanding, and maybe it's just because they really never learned to read stories and understand how to parse writing for all the layers that are underneath a really well-told story and really well-written character.
Yeah, I'm convinced that they haven't read it, because even sometimes they'll even admit it. Like the Rings of Power dudes were like, oh yeah, we went back to the book, and then they're talking later about it, and they're just like, you know, we kind of like skimmed over it. Like, you know, we took a name here and we took a name from over there and we just kind of squished it together. And it's like, oh, so you didn't read it? Because if you read it, which I understand, nobody fucking reads the Silmarillion. I get it. It's hard. Like,
yes, it's
hard. Okay, I get it. It's not for everyone. It's just like you and I have said. Not everyone can or should be trying to be Tolkien. Stop it. You can't do it. So just chill. Like it just I can't imagine that all of these modern writers have actually read anything. Even short stories because because reading like Edgar Allan Poe, Cask of Amontillado, or the Yellow Wallpaper. You can read short stories in classic literature because, like, if I turned it, you would see I have so many books. It's gross. Like, I have books behind books because that's all I do is read, and there's no possible way that anyone who's even read short stories that are classic short stories, Telltale Heart, you know, all that stuff, if you read them, you will feel it. And if you haven't read it, you're not going to feel it. And none of these people, I don't think any of them have read anything beyond, I don't know, something modern like Dogman or Captain Underpants. Maybe that's what these people are reading. Like, and then they watch, and then they watch a movie. Yeah, kids' books. You know, maybe they watched Goosebumps, or maybe they read Goosebumps, and they thought,
all they watch is
this
Netflix.
Is the height of literature. Yeah, they've watched Netflix. Maybe they've watched Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and they were like, oh, that's great. That must be what that's about. Like, it's too much subversion and not enough humanity, and that's why your characters suck. I feel like we've talked a lot about like why characters suck, and we haven't really gone too much into like building a good character. We should probably talk about this again next time because it's gonna. Oh, we still got a half hour.
We got some time. Yeah, let me catch up on chat real quick.
Yeah, catch up on chat. We sit there and we just get so into our talking, like
right. I think I might just like go back and do the whole like the super chats afterwards thing because we just get too into like the subject. But so I apologize, but I'm gonna go back and read the super chats. Agent Warlock said has a really good point about Ender's Game. She had Valentine and her brother use the internet as shitpost their way to changing the world. Yeah, that's basically what they do.
Absolutely. And a funny thing about the Ender's Game world though, kids aren't allowed on the internet.
So they use pseudonyms.
They had to get permission from their father, who worked for the government, to access the larger internet, because children weren't allowed on the internet because they knew
have that.
Yeah, because they knew that it would mess the kids up. That's why Ender had access to a special game that was that utilized this early AI concept that functioned with his name or with his brain. Mm-hmm. But Valentine talked her parents into letting her and her brother use his access to the internet so that they could go and shitpost and be the equivalent back then of a conservative YouTuber and a liberal YouTuber. And he talked his way like and they were the opposite of what they were too. He said, okay, you're gonna be the conservative because you're a liberal in real life, and I'm gonna be the liberal because I'm a conservative in real life. And that way our characters
they are
will be more 3D. Yeah, and they were able to hide it. And this kid did shitpost himself into being like the fucking president,
the world hegemon.
Yeah. So that in that way, it's pretty much like you have to read at least Ender's Game, if not like, you know, the other books about like Bean and stuff, because Bean is my favorite character in Ender's Game. He's freaking great. You at least have to read Ender's Game, especially if you want to ever write a believable child.
Right. I've only read Ender's Game, but there's so much shit that you're going to miss if you just watch shit like the TV adaptation.
It's so bad. Well, Oh, I was going to say earlier, they're 6 years old in the book, but they can't do that in real life. You just can't have a 6-year-old do all the things he's doing.
Yeah.
So instead, they just made them all like 13.
Yeah, it doesn't make as much sense.
But they act like 6-year-olds, and you're like, I'm
Well,
supposed to believe this is a smart person. They did.
yeah.
Oh, they did do the ship's design very well, though. I will say that the battle room and stuff, and how he
Yeah.
describes the ship and how it works. They did that pretty well. But like all the characters sucked.
Yeah, well, the ships, like, well, that's a lot of Hollywood right now. That things look nice, and all the CGI and the artists are brilliant. It's beautiful, but then the writing is like, I don't know it's like they spend all the money on just CGI and think people are dumb enough to just buy it. Prater 7 for 2. Thank you. You two look pretty rough. No Sims for life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
Appreciate
job.
it, Prater 7.
No
Nice
chimpanzees.
No chimpanzees. That one, Allie's here. Well, I don't want Sims either. It's not what I'm here for. I'm a comic artist, damn it. Raul Nyansi for $1.99. Thank you. Japanese dub was fun. Cobra Kai did revival right? Okay.
Well,
Japanese dub. Interesting.
Because Cobra Kai was from Karate Kid, I think, right?
I haven't watched those.
Yeah, me neither. But I think it was like a continuation of the Karate Kid, like, universe.
Oh, Neil has a good point. Modern writers fail to put the characters back after deconstructing them in the way that makes them better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but that's just the hero's journey.
Right. When I say
everything.
Yeah. When I say deconstruction, to be clear, I don't mean like tearing a character down, having them fail, because that's not what they're doing. Because that is the hero's journey. Your character has to fail, and the way I like to put it is I like to approach character writing from the perspective of identity, not in the modern sense, but in, well, what does this character base his or her identity around at the start of the story? How does it evolve? Why are they like that? And once you understand those things, you will understand very clearly how to write them, because that's a character. All of us have that. What is our identity? And in the hero's journey, they have to go on a quest. They are challenged, and when in like the second arc in a classic hero's journey, they fail, and that's when their identity is torn down and they have to build themselves back up. They're faced with the flaw that they were blind to before, and they have to reconstruct themselves and fight again. And in the classic story, generally they succeed, but that's the whole point of the hero's journey, is you do have to break the character down and have them change to be better. But in the postmodern sense of deconstruction, they first of all don't even have a character who has a clear identity to begin with. And when they're taking a pre-existing character, they created a hollow shell that has no actual character identity within, and then they try to tear that down even more by humiliating them or just having them do shit for no reason and always be right if they're a woman, or just be like completely inept if they're a man. So there's just nothing underneath there, and things just happen for there's no logical consistency, and that doesn't work, because the character, like, things have to have logical consistency. A character has to go on a journey and be like broken down and rebuilt in that way. And I'm not just saying that because, well, this is how it's always been done traditionally. No, that's how it works. That's how storytelling works. Because again, storytelling is about teaching people to be better. That's how, especially heroic storytelling. So, and they don't understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
The end. Let's see. Oh god. Running my head for years, so I spent the last year studying every book about characters and story I could get my hands on. Yeah, exactly. And like, there's so many resources about writing. There are so many YouTube channels that talk about writing that are so good, and there are books you can read. Robert McKee, Sid Field, Campbell, so many script writing books.
I have a writing hacks series on my channel where I go over all my little hacks for writing, so that because I don't believe it should be so like difficult. There are little hops that you can do. And that I have that on my channel where I go through like, hacks for writing.
Cool. Yeah. Everyone should go check that out. I think like
And then there's this, and people in the Philippines are using these videos Renie and I are doing to learn how to write. I got told that.
Yeah, someone just said that there's a teacher who's using this world building series in their class. So I was like, oh no, I hope they're not like little kids, because
I know,
but that's super cool. So
I did tell him, I was like, awesome. Well, make sure you say that our books are mostly not for kids.
Yes, mostly, yeah.
Definitely. I think it was probably like a high school or a college class, though, so that's
that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Right, and Granda has a good point again. Modern TV writers they want to write about themselves and their experience, right? That's a whole other, I'm not going to get into this rabbit hole, but you guys should already know my thoughts on that. That's stupid. That's stupid. This whole idea that you can only write about your own experience, well, then you would never, that's antithetical to storytelling and to teaching people to be empathetic, and that defeats the whole point of fantasy. It's so stupid. I hate it.
Sam Goyer is saying, ask Ellie about her new character named Sushi. Well, Renie already knows about Sushi, so there.
Sushi!
And she thinks that Sushi's cute.
Sushi's cute!
Anyway, continue. People were telling me that my little girl character, Sushi, is racist, so.
What? Why do you get all the worst crazies? Like, sometimes I'll post shit like, oh, somebody's gonna come at me and could like tell me I'm like being racist, but even though I'm not, but then it doesn't actually happen that much, so I don't know. You get all the crazies though. You have like some dumb bitch like striking your channel and all that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really. Stop bothering Allie, you guys. Grow up.
$10 super chat for Renie. Down goes Solo.
Yes. Do either of you ever struggle?
She's not Solo. Sorry.
What?
He asked if the little girl was racist. No. They were saying that she was like the way I created her character was.
Oh.
Because like
what?
Because I was like, I was trying to think of like fun ways that she could be like, you know, cute, because she's like a kid's character who like solves ghost mysteries and stuff, and she has that big tooth. She just has one tooth with a hole in it. I was like, what if she filled her mouth with rice and just shot it out like a little rice gun through her like
That's tooth. So absurd. Oh gosh.
Is that culturally insensitive? I mean, I don't care, but like, is it? Like, why?
No, why
She's
would
just
it be?
A cute little half Japanese girl.
No, that I could see that in like a kids anime show.
Right. I was like, I need to write something for kids, and so I came up with that.
Anyway, yeah, kids love that kind of shit.
Yeah, she's just a little cute little spunky girl. Anyway,
fuck him. Diego Solo says, do either of you ever struggle to find motivation for your characters? Yes. In your antagonist specifically, I'm a little hung up. I want him to feel like more than just a plot device. You want to take this first? Oh,
I have literally never struggled for that.
Well, all right. Well, never mind then.
No, that's not a struggle that I have.
La-di-da.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you're the real writer. I'm just learning. I'm just like, I can kind of.
We'll see. You know, when I read Fiendish. But
yeah,
I think that at world building so far, you're pretty good.
Book 2 is going to be a lot better than book 1 isn't bad, but it's kind of basic. I am proud of book 2.
Motivation for the antagonist in specifically my adult fantasy novel, which is usually what we're referencing when we're on this show, is our adult fantasy stuff. What I've done most through the motivation of most of my male characters is I've given them something feminine that creates their motivation. So, for example, my wizard, Rimdelveer, his motivation is to destroy a manipulative, overbearing, you know, arguably evil female. Or let's say Rain, who is my sociopath, sex addict. Because somebody, I had a
what a
beta,
wonderful combination.
I had a beta reader read it once,
Oh,
and
that one.
that one, and they were like, "Oh, it's so refreshing to see a gay character being represented," and I was like, "He's not gay. he's like a I will find a hole and fuck it. Like that's not the same. You don't want this guy representing you. Like
oh god.
he's a crazy sociopath, sex addict, like who literally just buys a slave to use. Like he's not a good guy. But his motivation is feminine in nature in that he has he has a sister that he sees as pure. You know, she's unspoiled. But when she is ultimately in his eyes ruined, that is his motivation for his further actions, which ultimately are like genocide and just being a serial rapist.
Damn.
So, yes, al dente, like Luigi Largo, like ogre, absolutely. So, I guess I've never struggled for that because my idea of the masculine is that it's a counterbalance to the feminine. So most of my male characters, in some way or other, are motivated by the feminine. If you present a man with a problem, the man's natural response is, I have to fix this. That's why, so for example, some feminist organization put out this pamphlet that was like 100 ways to say no without saying no. And I read it, and they were all terrible because it was supposed to be for teenagers, and it was supposed to be like, oh, say, you know, I can't have to do homework. Like, oh, say, oh no, we're too young. And it was like, if you say anything but no to a man, he's gonna think, oh, so it's a yes. I just have to solve this problem. He's like, all right, I'll do your homework then. You know, like
sometimes there are people who you tell them, no, they still want. Well, this is a challenge. I want to keep on trying, but that's childish. We're not talking about that type of man.
Most men, if you say no, they just go, oh, okay, no, and then they just go away.
Yeah, most men.
If it's well, you know, I have to feed my cat. Then, because that was another one. It was like, all right, let's feed your cat. That's a soft yes. Like, that's why I created the motivation that I did. Because men look at problems and need to solve them. Women create problems and don't know how to solve them. For the most part. I'm speaking in generalities.
Okay.
But like, for the most part, we can't even order our own food at a restaurant. Like,
we can't?
For the most part, remember, I'm speaking in generalities. It is a relief when a man solves our problems.
That is true.
Yeah, because that means we don't have to think about it. Because do you know what we're doing all the time? We're always thinking. And none of it makes sense most of the time.
I like the dichotomy you put about, well, when a man is presented with a problem, that is true. Their first instinct is, well, how do I solve it? Because like even when I'm in chat, I know I have a predominantly male audience. When I'm telling them I have a problem, like they're like, sometimes I just want to like bitch about something. Very rarely. I don't like to just, you know, whine. But like everyone's like, well, this is how you solve it. But if I tell my female friends, their first reaction was, how do you feel about it? How do I make you feel better? So that's a primary difference between men and women that is almost universal.
We want to talk about how we feel about it, and men say, all right, let's fix it then. You know?
Well, and I'll be like, it's already fixed. But or sometimes it's, you know, sometimes if I'm looking for help, that would be great. But sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I just want to bitch. But then their response is, I just want to fix this, which is great because, you know, most men want to help women, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Again, this balance. So, oh my gosh. Right. But yeah, back to antagonists. So I don't like.
We're going back to the super chat because we just go off
Yes.
on tangents.
Yes, we do. This is a big problem. Okay, we're definitely doing a part 2 about this subject.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, I do have problems finding motivations for my characters. Not like my main character and not my main antagonist, but a lot of my side characters. I've struggled a lot with it. Like, it's sort of, I realize my problem with a lot of my side. Well, it's not just their motivation. For example, I know Yomi, like the dev girl that Kazumi and Isol meet in chapter 1. Her motivation is she wants to avenge her family because her family, or her adopted family, like the caravan, the theater troupe she was traveling with, she saw them as family. They were killed by the demon. But then, like, what I really struggle with, because I'm trying to write on an even deeper level to that, because I think it's easy to just have a character have a motivation. Like, Yomi wants to avenge her family. Cosmere wants to, like, on the surface, wants to find the truth about what happened to Dorvo, and he wants to put his family to rest and also avenge his family. Iskil he just wants to protect and help everybody, and Ragna wants to be an arch shaman. But what is underneath that? And that's why I'm trying to approach writing from identity, and I think that's been like a recent breakthrough of mine that's really helped me. What is this person's identity? How does that influence their motivations, and how is that challenged? So I'm going to talk more about this next time, but that's where I am right now with my writing. So I think
we'll continue this one for the next one. And I'm sorry it can't be tomorrow because I have a weekly show that I do on Saturdays. So but it'll be, let me look at the dates.
Barbara,
it'll be February 10th. Will be the next one, and it'll have to be on your channel again.
Oh, right. Oh, wait.
I got 2 weeks in YouTube jail.
2 weeks. Okay. All right. Well, hey, everybody, go. The link's in description. Go sub to Ali's channel to make this stupid bans worth it, because whoever's doing this to you is fucking dumb. Like, they really seriously got it out for you. It has to be like an individual. Like,
it's probably some chick who just doesn't like when I say the truth.
Yeah, probably. Oh no, people. I don't know. That's so petty. I hate it when, like, abusing DMCA or strikes is like, that's. There's been there's so many people have done that, but it pisses me off. So it's so fucking petty. It's the most like SJW thing, except it's not just SJWs who do that, but it's so childish. It's so childish. And please grow the fuck up. And whoever's doing this, go fuck yourself. Barbara Rogers, my solar terror for Canadian 5.
Somebody mentioned that it was for nudity, and yeah, it was for nudity, and it was nudity that A, I didn't know was there again, and B, is on another YouTube channel still that is not struck. So It's not fair. I appealed it, but
yeah, I think their rules on nudity need to be more, like, it needs to be more nuanced, because, like I said on my channel, sometimes people they're drawing stuff and they'll just show stuff, and like, I'll be drawing, I'm not looking at what the other artist is showing, and then like, I have to be very careful. I go back in my streams, I cut things out, and like, I've been scrubbing some of my old. It's so much work, and I think they need to have a nuanced policy of, if it's only for this many seconds, it's fine. It's not pornographic, especially if it's a drawing.
What I was gonna launch Egg Video this week, and it's like that's then there. Yeah, I wanted to have that, ready, because I finished my trailer and everything. So I was like, sweet, I can finally launch. And then it was like, nope.
That sucks. Well, you should launch on like another channel.
I don't know whose channel I would launch on.
You want to launch here?
I don't know if I could ask. What?
You want to launch here? Are you too shy to ask?
What, on your channel?
Yeah, I haven't done. Yeah,
you would want that?
I do a promo show. I've been like slacking on it recently because I'm trying to get my fucking comic done. But I'll launch your book.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, all right. It's decided.
Okay.
Yay! You're
We'll
too
talk
shy to
about what
ask.
day then.
There's your offer. I
Thank
do
you.
the promos on Wednesdays, but we can do another day if that's better for you.
That's really nice of you.
Of course, you're my friend. I know how to help y'all.
We're twinsies.
Our twinsies, yeah. Adam Kemper for 5. I think that's Australian. Got here late digging the matching chokers. Thank you.
Yes, he's CG Santa.
Oh, you're CG Santa, are you?
He's CG Santa, yeah.
Ah,
he plays
I love
Santa.
CG Santa.
That's his job. He's Santa.
He's Santa.
His real life job is Santa. Yeah.
It can't be like a full-time job.
No, it is.
So you're actually Santa, like you live in the North Pole.
That's why I call him CG Santa. He's Santa. He has like a whole dude. Speaking of world building, okay, he has built up like this really clever Santa world. Like,
really?
Have him talk to you about it sometime because it's crazy. He has answers for all the questions these kids ask.
Oh boy, yeah, we have to ask about that sometime. 200-watt studio for 2, looking cool with that Jack Skellington hoodie, Ali.
Thank you. I don't feel cool though. I feel warm.
That's good. That's very good. What? Oh, down goes solo. All right, let me catch up. I'm trying to catch up, guys. I need a new way to deal with these chats. We get like too carried away. Maybe I will read, but then sometimes super chats are like pertinent to what we're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know how to handle this. Maybe you can handle live chat and I'll handle super chats from now on.
Okay.
Yeah. Or vice versa.
I feel bad when I interrupt you though, because I feel like you're easily distracted.
Well, the problem is keeping your eye on a chat before, and sometimes I'm keeping an eye on something, and so I don't scroll down because I'm trying to like super chats take priority because sometimes there's like a really good comment. So if we can just keep an eye on things, and I'll do it for your channel as well. So
for my 20 viewers.
No, well, you deserve more, and everybody go subscribe so you'll have more because fuck these strikes. Ali has a good channel. She has like a whole writing series. She's like a real writer. So if you want to learn about writing, you should go to her. I'm just bumbling around. Yeah, I'm just bumbling around and like. So here's the thing
I write books that don't have pictures.
Yeah. I am actually just writing. Well, I'm doing the layouts, so technically I'm doing the pencils. But there's like. Side story for Fiendish is first time I'm writing something for someone else to draw, so I'm terrified, but I'm also excited. But yeah, this thing in art school, even though comics is like half writing, half art, they almost entirely focus on the art. Like the writing courses we had were shit, and I'm so disappointed. I've spent my entire time since college learning to write because I've always wanted to have my own series, and it's just, the basics of writing are not hard to understand, but I think what's hard is finding what you want to say. And you need time to understand that. Like a 20-year-old isn't going to write like the best story in the world, even if they had a writing education, I think. Just because you need some wisdom and experience in there. But yeah, I'm doing it. I'm learning. I'm trying.
And Hyrule Guy said that I should tell horror stories on my channel. I have some reading. I've read some short fiction on there as well, and I'm going to do that more because I have all these like really old books that are just full of like really cool short fiction, and I want to read them all.
Ooh, yeah, that would be fun. Miss Barb Rogers sent Miss Solar Terror for Canadian 5 sent another super sticker. I'm trying to find what it is. Oh, it's another corgi. It's Shiba going. Oh, it's so cute. Thank you. Okay. All right, I'm caught up. Oh my gosh, I'm caught up.
You're caught up?
I did it.
Just in time.
Right on time. The first time we've been actually on time.
High five.
High five. Boop.
Oh.
Yeah! We still didn't really stay on topic, but I think we had a great discussion as usual.
I think we stayed on topic.
Relatively speaking, yeah. I think it was like, I think I feel like I complained a little too much, but it's hard because there's just so much shit out there, and it's just I think we definitely next time we'll talk more about like how to build up good characters, because you have to address why stories and TV shows and all these Hollywood writers are so bad at their jobs and why this stuff is shit first, and then you talk about how to build something else. So I think next time we'll talk about more about like how to do it right. And that will be February 10th.
Yep.
I believe. Awesome. I'm excited.
February
I like it. Yeah, I like this subject, and I'm gonna like do some notes so I'm like more cogent and cohesive, and I know what to say. We'll see how well that works.
Like real professionals.
Like a real professional.
I have a notebook that I have out that usually I'll like write my thoughts on, but I didn't get to do it today because I was really busy. But like that's usually what I'm doing is I have just like this notebook full of like all these notes so that I can keep track of what I'm talking about. This is from our first show that we did. I wanted to make sure that I had all my Lord of the Rings like gods put together.
Oh my gosh.
Wrote it all down so I wouldn't fuck up.
Oh, that's crazy. I haven't done any notes. And I feel like a slacker.
I wrote down like all this whole thing about like one of my god character, the goddess character that I have. Like this is it's pretty much like what I do.
I feel inadequate, so I'll take notes and I'll be less badly prepared next time.
That's the Renie part of you that needs to stop it. You need to get a little bit more cocky because you're good. You know what you're doing. You do.
No, I kind of do.
You're easily you're easily more talented than me just based on the fact that you're good at art. Did you see the terrible chibi that I drew? I know you did because I showed it to you and you were just like, her eyes look weird.
No, I didn't say it like that.
You were like, her eyes are too close together. She looks retarded.
It wasn't bad. Like, you're not, for someone who's not an artist, like, seriously. But, you know, you're not an artist, obviously, but, like, it's not, I don't know. It's one of those things where you spent a lot more time years and years building up writing, and now you're venturing into art. I'm the opposite. I've spent years and years just doing nothing but drawing. Well, that's not true, because I have always built worlds, but not really like written stories, right? So
you were too busy thinking about dinosaur worlds.
I really have always been a world builder. I created like my own like fantasy island because I love Dinotopia so much. So when I was in like middle school, I have this school notebook full of like this fantasy world and like all the details about it and these characters traveling through it. There was no story, but it was just like, oh, look at this cool world I created. So, but we all have different pathways to precious. And then the adults all hated it. I just want to
find little Renie and just be like, I adore you.
And all the adults
pat her little dinosaur loving head, like,
because they were like, "You're gonna starve, and why are you wasting your time on things that aren't real?" So I feel bad about myself.
You do have one last super chat there.
I do. King Link, thank you so much. King Link of Rock Hard Comics for 5. Riddle me this. How come modern writers always make buff chicks be lesbians or bi? Because they're weird. Also, hi. Neon Revenant is at 90 signups. Awesome. Everybody go sign up for Neon Revenant. And if someone can please find that and post it in the chat.
I can tell you exactly why modern stuff is always like that. And it almost goes beyond subversion. And I can show you with a picture. All right. Are you ready?
I don't know if I am, but I have to be. All right, here we go. Oh, that's true. We talked about this last time. So much, or was it my last stream? But there's a lot of the shit right now is the writer's fetish, isn't it? It seems like, first of all, they're fanfic writers, and they're not creating characters, obviously, that are moral stories or are aspirational stories. It's either self-inserts or fetishes. And once you see, I was going to make a post today about, like, I noticed, like, Velma and Mandy from I'm Not Starfire and fucking May from Turning Red. May is not that insufferable, but I'm like, they're also similar. in design.
Oh my god! You don't even want to get me started on Turning Red.
No, that's not, because that's gonna be a whole other show. That's gonna be a whole other show. But also, I was gonna say that why are they so fixated on writing teen characters and sexualizing them, and especially teen girls?
It's real creepy.
I'm like, I'm not. I'm like, I don't want to get in this rabbit hole, but it's so obvious and it's really disturbing. And beyond that, with like a lot of the the characters they're putting out that are like just not generally appealing. I feel like they want their fetishes validated. I don't care what your fetish is, but don't subject everybody else to it. Like,
exactly. Stop subjecting me to your weirdness. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want it in my kids' stuff.
I'm sorry that exactly. Children are absolutely off limits. Like, that can completely fuck off. And I don't understand why they don't. Well, I know why they don't understand it, but pedophiles should be shot. But
Ali is looking for the next Bernie Wrightson to work with. Dude, I would raise him from the dead to work with him. If I found the secret, I would do it. Oh my god, he's fucking great.
Underarm fetish? No, that's not my fetish. That's Chad's fetish. No, so many of these writers, it's like they want to I'm sorry that you weirdos in Hollywood, your fetishes aren't mainstream, but you can't force it to be mainstream. Go do your own weird shit in your private space. The end. Please.
On that note, I'm gonna go to my private space.
All right, it's about that time. We should all go to our private space because it's late as fuck. But thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We love your questions. We're sorry we can't get to all of them, but like keep them coming, and eventually we will, or we'll get on a tangent that eventually answers it.
We'll find a system. I think I need like a third person, but I don't have anyone who can be a consistent co-host. It would be best to have like someone monitoring the chat, but we'll figure it out. This is one last really good comment. Literary people always strive for the taboo, right? Because creative types push boundaries. Listen to Jordan Peterson. But all this tech stuff is just boring, right? Yeah, because it's uninspired. There's no point underneath all of it. So it's just weird. It's just weird. That's a whole other thing to get into. Maybe we should get into that, sexuality in fiction. Shouldn't we do that?
Sure, I'll write it down. But I don't know if people are gonna like what I have to say.
Yeah. We might. I don't know. I haven't I don't think I have a lot of opinions on it, but I think just stuff like I have a lot of criticisms for sexuality in fiction now. And my favorite series is Berserk, and Berserk is very sexual, but it's done so well. So that's what I would talk about. But maybe Ali would offend everybody, but we're for free speech here.
I mean,
you say what you
people
want.
Will be offended. I usually get a lot of women who don't agree with me.
Oh, well, that's their problem.
It's an ish you, not an ish me.
Yeah, that sounds like a them problem. All right. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Ali's channel as well. And go save the playlist link in the description for this whole show series. And we will see you February 10th for the next installment of Le World Building with Ali.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Hey, good night. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.